And what you realize is that how you're living your life exhibits certain biases and preferences you have. So you can't live life neutrally. Even if you say, well, I'm going to do nothing in my life at all because I want to align with perfect neutrality and perfect relativity. I'll do nothing. But that itself is a choice you've made. That itself is an action. So you're stuck in life in such a way, you're situated in such a way, you're in such an existential bind that you have to act somehow, and even non-action is action. Even non-choice is choice. So when you realize that, what you realize is, well, choices get made no matter what. There's a default position no matter what. If I do nothing, something will still happen. I'm not really at a blank slate. I've already got ideas programmed into my mind, whether scientific ones, religious ones, Christian ones, Hindu ones, Buddhist ones, whatever. And that is what will be running the show if I make no changes and I pretend to just be neutral. I won't actually be neutral by being neutral. See, when you really grasp this, this now starts to help you to actually choose things because you realize that you can't avoid choosing things. Even if you're going to die, starve yourself, you're still choosing that. So you can't escape making a choice. And when you realize that, then you have to realize that, well, what kind of choices do I want to make? What will make for a good life? And you realize that basically what you want is you want a good life. That's the point of life, is to create a good life. You're free to create whatever life you want. All of this relativity, all of these perspectives, in a sense, is sort of like you're a little kid and I come to you and I dump a giant garbage truck load of Legos in your room. Like literally a metric ton of Lego pieces of every possible type and color. And with these Lego pieces, you can construct anything. And then that's how life is. And then sort of life asks you, what are you going to construct? You might say, well, what difference does it make what I construct? I can construct a castle or a spaceship or a gas station or a car, whatever. Does it matter which one? Is one better than the other? And if nobody tells me, like you might, as a child, you might say, well, tell me which one is the best to construct and I'll build it. And then what if there's no response? What do you do? Well, you can say, well, fuck it then I'm not going to build anything. Okay, but then that's what you chose. You have built something. You built nothing. Is that what you want? Is that going to make you happy? If it is, do that. If it isn't, why not do something that makes you happy? Why make yourself miserable in life? So see, by going through this chain of logic, you realize, oh yeah, the only thing left to do in life is to make myself happy. But then what makes me happy? I don't know. I don't know what makes me happy. I think I might know, but how do I know that what I think I know will actually make me happy? And maybe I'll try some of those things and I'll realize it doesn't make me happy. That could be useful feedback to figure out what does make me happy. So the point of life is to basically play with these Legos, build different things, and to realize like, well, yeah, I've built this castle. I don't like castles. I built a pirate ship. I don't like pirate ships. I built this car. I don't like cars. I built this gas station. I don't like gas station. So at some point you build something and you say, oh, I built something. I built this unicorn. Oh, I like unicorns. I like animals. So maybe now I should start building more animal Legos. So now you build a giraffe. It's like, oh, I like the giraffe even more than the unicorn. Okay. And then you build a dragon. You're like, oh, I like dragons even more. I like fantastical monsters. So now you start to build, chimeras and manticores and goblins and things. And then you through this process, you discover like, oh, this is what I love about life, is building these mystical creatures. And the more outlandish and mystical they are, the more excited I get. And this is what Joseph Campbell called following your bliss. And through this process, you discover your life purpose. I talk about that more in my 25-hour life purpose course. Check that out. So you see, and the trick is that you never fool yourself in this process that dragons and manticores and goblins are better than anything else. Because the other kids, when they're playing with their Legos, what they do, first of all, they're playing with a very limited set of Legos. You're playing with like a dump truck full of them, and they're playing with like 100 pieces. Their pieces are very limited. Their colors are very limited. So what they can build is very limited. And all that they're building is what every other kid around them is building. So if the kids around them are building castles, they end up building castles, even though they probably don't like castles, but they build it anyways because everyone's building castles. And if I don't build a castle, people are going to think I'm weird and I'm too weak to stand up against that. And I haven't discovered what I really like to build. And what I can build is so minuscule compared to what that kid can build with a dump truck full of different Legos. And when somebody brings some additional Legos, you know, in addition to the 100 that I'm comfortable with, they bring another 100 that are totally new and unique and different colors and shapes and stuff. They bring that to me and I look at it, I'm like, ooh, that's evil. That's wrong. That's not the kind of Legos we play around with here. Those aren't castle pieces. I only want castle pieces. And then now there's a fight and a debate about why those are bad and these castle pieces are the best and God has ordained these castle pieces. He hates the pirate ship the pirate ship pieces. Those are from the devil, or those are irrational, illogical. They're too mystical. These creatures, like if you're doing this from a scientific perspective, you might be building like a spaceship, right? You're building a spaceship. You're this science nerd, logic nerd. And then I come to you and I show you my like fantastical Lego dragon, unicorn, manticore, goblin creatures. And you look at them and you're like, oh my God, what kind of airy, fairy tale woo-woo stuff is that? That's not scientific. The only thing you can build with Lego pieces is spaceships. That's the only valid use of Lego pieces. It has to be rational. Everything has to be perfect squares and corners. It has to be scientifically accurate, not these fucking monsters that you build. And then I go, well, here's some monster pieces that you can use to make like organic living ships and stuff. And the guy's like, no, that's not how you build ships. Those aren't valid ships. That's not scientific. That's not rational. I don't want to build your irrational ships. I want to build my little simplistic ships. The way that all my friends do. See? And so you artificially constrain yourself to a much narrower life. And you get less joy from life. And you know what the funny thing is? Is that you might not even enjoy building those spaceships. You might actually want to build dragons, but you're too scared and your mind is too paradigm locked to venture out into that space.